Hi there, I'm Teresa Dufour with your CT Style Express. As we recognize Black History Month, it's important to also recognize contributions with Connecticut Connections. Owner and author of the Writery Inc. over in Bloomfield, Vangela Buchanan is here along with author Mary Romney. Ladies, thanks so much for joining us via Zoom, of course.
Thank you for having
Thank
us,
you.
Teresa.
Vangela,
Thank
if you
you.
would start off, tell me a little bit about the Writery. This is such a great opportunity for anyone who ever wanted to get their words published on paper, right?
Mhm. Right. So we work with writers to help them become authors. So we guide them through the process of writing their books and also through to publishing. And we do a little bit of marketing and promotion too. So yes.
Sure. And you've worked with Mary, who we have with us today.
Right. Mary is one of my newest authors. And
Yes.
when Mary came, to me, it's like, let's do it. So
Mary, let's talk about this book. This is about your father, who was uh, around in the World War II era. Give us the title of the book, and then we'll kind of dig into it.
Yeah. The title of the book is An Afro-Caribbean in the Nazi Era, From Papiamentu to German.
Mhm. And this is the story of your father, which is really just remarkable. Bring us back a little bit, if you will.
Yeah. My father was from the Caribbean island of St. Martin in the West Indies. And between around the mid 1930s and 1940, he was working as a merchant sailor. This means that he was on the crew of a merchant ship. And at the beginning of World War II, around 1940, he was on a Greek merchant ship that was sailing from Cardiff in Wales in the United Kingdom over to Greece, which meant that they had to pass through the Mediterranean, again, in the middle of a war zone. So when they arrived at the point between Tunisia and Sicily, the ship struck a mine. As you know, a mine is an explosive device. The ship sank and the crew was rescued by the Italian Navy, at which point my father became a political prisoner in Italy for the next 4 years. And during those 4 years, he was transferred among a series of internment camps until 1944, when he was deported from Italy to Austria, where he was interned in the Mauthausen concentration camp in Austria. And he spent the final year of the war in that concentration camp.
And we had discussed this before, but that concentration camp was something different.
Yes, it was the only camp in the entire system that was intended to specifically work the prisoners to death. So it was a very, very brutal environment where on a daily basis, he witnessed many atrocities committed by the Nazis. So that experience left him deeply traumatized to the point where he didn't speak about it for 40 years. He was practically silent about it for over 40 years. Until in 1989, I started working on an oral history with him, at which point he began to open up and talk about it.
Sure. And Mary, why is it so important for people to do that, to ask the questions of their parents and learn a little bit about their history?
Yes, I think, a lot of history remains in the memories of people who have experienced it. So unless we ask those people, quite often they won't talk about it. Sometimes the memories are difficult, but it's very healthy for them to talk about it. If they are in trauma, it's very healthy for them to talk about the trauma. So you really help yourself because you learn more about your family history, you learn more about history in general, and you help the person who experienced it. So I think it's very, very important. But in addition to that, there's so much of our history that we don't know about. And we don't want all of these memories and all of this history to disappear with the older generation. So I would encourage all families really to do as much oral history as they possibly can with their elders.
Sure. And Mary, I want to ask you, where can we learn more about your father? Where can we find the book and read the story?
Well, you can find the book at the Writery Inc, which is Vangella's beautiful store in Bloomfield. You can find the book on Amazon.com. And I wrote the book because I visited that concentration camp, and it was a really life-changing experience for me. And I really wanted to sew a thread into the tapestry of history for everybody to contribute what.
Sure. I mean, it's so important to get that oral history out there, of course. And Evangela, if people want to write, they could visit you at the Writery Inc. You're located in Bloomfield. Ladies, thank you so much for sharing your stories and for your time today.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Teresa.
Sure
Thank
thing.
you.
That's your CT Style Express. We'll see you back here tomorrow.